Hi, I'm Max Anders, and welcome to this series, Growing in Your Faith, where we lay the foundation to walk closer with God and live better in life. Many Christians don't have the foundation they need for the walk with God they want, and there's only one solution. You have to build a bigger foundation. I can help. Growing in the Christian life is very much like walking up a stairway. If there are 12 steps in the stairway, you have to take steps 1, 2, and 3 before you can get to 10, 11, and 12. And many Christians are wondering why they can't get to 10 and 11 and 12 in the Christian life without realizing they haven't taken steps 1, 2, and 3. Nobody ever told them. Nobody ever told me. You see, what you can learn today is built on what you learned yesterday. And what you can learn tomorrow is built on what you learned today. And if you didn't learn key truth yesterday, you can't fully benefit from deeper truth you hear today. Knowledge isn't everything, but everything rests on knowledge. You can't believe something until you know it. You won't live it until you believe it, and you won't be happy until you live it. So no, knowledge isn't everything, but everything rests on knowledge. So what we'll do here is lay the foundation for a healthy and robust Christian life, and then you can go on and build a more mature Christian experience on that foundation. We'll give you steps 1, 2, and 3, and you can go on to steps 10, 11, and 12 yourself. There's a world of information out there to help you with steps 10, 11, and 12, but not much on 1, 2, and 3. We seem to take those steps for granted. It's a mistake. So we won't be looking at the most you need to know. We'll be looking at the least. This won't be the completion of anything. It'll be the beginning. My goal with this series, and with other resources it will point to, is that it will guide and accelerate your spiritual growth and leapfrog you years down the road in your Christian walk compared to not knowing it. I became a Christian after my first year at a secular university. I was a drummer in a rock band, and I had plenty of opportunity to develop attitudes, values, and behavior that didn't integrate well with the Christian life. So, when I became a Christian, I transferred to a Christian college where I immersed myself in information and relationships that were radically different from anything I'd known in the past. I went all in the Christian life, hoping to leave my past behind for the sake of a future that I longed for. It was a great decision, and one that I'd make again, but it wasn't without its limitations. We had chapel every day, which is like a short half-hour worship service, church service. And we had chapel every day, and we were required to go to church twice on Sunday and once in the middle of the week. So I heard 8 sermons a week for 4 years, challenging me to up my game in the Christian life, and I took it all very seriously. I did the best I could. But after several years, I hadn't grown spiritually as much as I wanted to, and as much as I was being challenged to, and as much as I thought I should have. And I began to get deeply frustrated with my Christian experience. And I remember sitting on a park bench on campus on a warm summer evening, wondering, what's wrong with me? I was giving it my best shot, and it wasn't working. And I decided it was because I wasn't trying hard enough. So I began to read my Bible an hour a day. And I began to pray for a second hour a day. And I continued that for the remainder of that school year. And at the end of that time, I was never so disappointed, discouraged, and defeated in my whole life. I finally concluded that there was just something wrong with me. The Christian life seemed to be working for everybody else, but it sure wasn't working for me. So I quit. I didn't fall back into my old life. I knew there wasn't any hope there. I kept up appearances on the outside. I kept going to chapel and church and kept giving thanks before meals in public, and I kept doing all of the things that were expected of me on the outside. But on the inside, I quit. I quit reading my Bible. I quit praying. And I quit beating my head against the brick wall of spiritual growth. And I said, Lord, when you're ready to do something in my life, let me know. I'm ready. But until then, I'll see you later. And I checked out. I don't recommend that course of action. I'm just telling you what I did. And the Lord was patient with me, and he eventually drew me back into an earnest and committed walk with him, but I was still disappointed with my Christian experience, and I wondered if I was experiencing all there was. But I didn't know what else to do, so I put my hope in heaven and just committed to doing the best I knew how to do while I was still here on earth. Decades later, the Lord ratcheted up the trials in my life to what felt like the breaking point. And in the process, He unveiled to me truth that took me to another level in my Christian walk. And I began to grow on a level spiritually that I'd never experienced before. I heard James Dobson say one time, just about the time you get the Christian life figured out, you die of old age. And I thought, that's a pretty good description of me. I've grown more in the last 10 years than I did the previous 30. So I've begun to put together a game plan, a master plan of strategy and of resources that if I could, I'd take back to my young self sitting on that park bench many years ago, and I'd give it all to me. And I'd say, there's no magic here, but there's truth, and there's a game plan. And if you give yourself to it, it'll guide and accelerate your spiritual growth and take you years down the road compared to living without it. And something like this is 10 times more important today than it was when I was starting out. When I was starting out, culture supported biblical values. If you conformed to culture around you then, which we all tend to do, you didn't live in violation of any of the 10 commandments. And today, if you conform to culture around you, you live in violation of all the 10 commandments, if not in behavior, then in attitude. Today, culture is so hostile to the Christian experience that if we don't have something sufficient to counter it, it'll overwhelm us. Every moment of every day, something in our soul is being fed and something is being starved. And because we live in a media-dominated world, and because much of what comes through that media is an assault on biblical values, then in the course of living everyday life, the soul of the Christian is power-fed the things of the world, while the things of the Spirit are starved. As a result, even without realizing it, Christians are being swept out to sea by the riptide of modern culture. So a critical need for Christians today is to devise a way to power feed the soul the things of the Spirit sufficiently to offset the things of the world. And if that's true for us, think how much more true it is for our children and our grandchildren. One of my seminary professors used to say, most learning is self-generated, so be sure to teach the basics well, and people can go on to self-generated learning themselves. So that's the goal of this ministry and of the resources that I'll be pointing to in these videos. It's designed to help build the basics that we need to live a robust Christian life and not be swamped by modern culture. So to start out, I'm going to be using as a guideline my book, 30 Days to Growing in Your Faith. It's a very tight condensation of what I would take back to my young self sitting on that park bench, and I'd say, this isn't everything you need to know, but there's nothing in here you don't need to know. And when you finish this, you won't be spiritually mature, but you'll still need to grow, but this will give you the knowledge foundation to get started. Don't try to live the Christian life without knowing what's in this book. It won't work. Now, I'll be saying things in this video that aren't in the book. And there are things in the book that I won't be saying in this video. So if you want to get the most out of everything, watch the videos, but also get the book. If you find this interesting and appealing, I invite you to subscribe. I'll be posting once a week, and if you subscribe, you'll be notified when each video is released. And if you know somebody who you think might be interested in this series also, then I'd invite you to share this video with them. So come along as we begin our journey, where we'll lay the foundation to walk closer with God and live better in life.